Hello everybody, hope you are back onto your seats. We'll be starting our event in another 1 minute. We'll be starting with the Hyderabad chapter with Kumar Vishal, who will be speaking about implementing Agile at scale. This particular session will be facilitated by Srijit. So I would like to call Srijit so that he can facilitate the first session of the day from Hyderabad chapter. Over to you, Srijit.
Thanks, Prashant. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to March session, 27th of March. So the first session we have today is implementing Agile at scale. So why we need the Agile at scale? So we all know that the strength of a chain is determined by the strength, the weakest link in the chain. So any organization, if they need to scale up, they need to have the Agile at scale to get the complete benefit. So I take this as a privilege to welcome Mr. Kumar Vishal, who is a keynote speaker and who is a thought leader in the industry for the IT and managed services, Salesforce effectiveness, business transformation consulting. Welcome, Kumar Vishal. Looking forward to your session and would like to learn more from you.
Thank you, Srijit, and thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Agile Network India for giving me this opportunity to come and share my experiences with all of you. Second is, it's a Sunday. I understand it's a holiday for everybody, but I'll try to make this conversation light, and I'll try to make it very interactive so that we can share some of our experiences in implementing Agile. So I'll quickly take you through a few lines about who am I, what I do, and why I'm here today. So if you quickly glance it out, so today I work as a group head for Novartis Salesforce Effectiveness. We call it Field Force. I'm a graduate in IT, and I did my management program from XLRI Jamshedpur. I did my MBA into international business from Pondicherry, did my master's in CX analytics, got an opportunity to work with organizations like IBM, HCL, Tech Mahindra, Novartis, was very instrumental in getting the Golden Peacock National Quality Award for Tech Mahindra. Have held sessions for National Quality Forum, and you can see all the certifications. Almost I trained myself and got certified on almost around 12, 13 subjects areas because I wanted to relate. I wanted to understand the entire landscape of the universe, what it goes through. Overall, 20 years of experience now, and worked in various countries like US, UK, Malaysia, Philippines. So I'm here to talk about Agile, my experiences with Agile, and how we have scaled it up for a larger organization. I'll talk about the challenges. When I say challenges, what kind of challenges you face with people, with management, with processes, with your colleagues who are working very, very, closely with you. So all those bottlenecks, how we remove those bottlenecks, and how we make it a better environment following Agile principles, Agile values. So I'm going to talk about that today, and probably towards the end, I'll take a few questions from each one of you. So, why we adopted Agile over other frameworks? As you all know, today, in fact, I come from IT industry now in pharmaceutical company. So in the last decade, we heavily banked upon lean principles, Six Sigma principles, Kaizen, many other quality, frameworks and principles. But in the last couple of years, we have started inclining towards Agile, right? And why is it so? So I'm just trying to cover it up. If you look at my company values and our Agile Values X's, when I say Agile Values X's means those characteristics which fit into Agile Values. Right? So it's very, very important to adopt a framework which fits the culture of your organization. Because if you are not aligning with the culture of your organization, trust me, culture eats your strategy and everything in its breakfast. So we wanted this cultural fit, and that's where we looked at our values. Our values are being inspired, curious, unbossed, and integrity. And when I look at agile values, if you think about agile values, which is uh, importance to individuals and interactions over processes and documentations, collaboration with customers. So all those characteristics which build those agile values are openness, courage, respect for your colleagues, for your peers, focus, and commitment. Once we were able to match, these values, we we found ourselves very successful in adopting agile at large scale. Uh, Today, we have adopted agile for almost 25 plus complex projects within Novartis, with 55 plus agile teams. Uh, Almost 500 plus people have been trained. They have adopted. They are working on agile, and we have a plan. We have a very large plan, voluminous plan to scale till 2025. So we'll talk about that. But before we go to how it will happen and how successfully we did it, it was not a day's job. It was not so easy, not so smooth for us. So I'll tell you the story, uh, what happened and what it took to become successful in this journey. So this was the first challenge which came across to all of us, and we were quite unaware of this challenge. We named it the intellectual arrogance. Now let me explain you what we mean when I say intellectual arrogance. We we hire people from top-notch colleges of India, all IITs and ITs, and our people they work on uh, analytics, data sciences, and many other areas where we support the field. Now, our associates were very confident with the accuracies of the deliveries. We also used to get a lot of good client experience scores. The surveys used to give us very good numbers. So everybody was quite happy, quite in the comfort zone. Domain knowledge was excellent, nice, because all these freshers have been trained, groomed, and they've been working for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. So they know exactly what they're doing. They have the pharma knowledge, they have the data, they have seen the market data. So when it comes to domain knowledge, of course, they are the best we have. Now, what was the challenge then? Everything was so perfect, so nicely built. When we used to talk to our colleagues who we were supporting in various countries, we are supporting 200 plus countries of Novartis. So when we started talking to these country heads and our colleagues, somewhere we used to get that, everything is good, but you know what? We don't know what's going under the carpet. Uh, we really don't know whether we should be happy or whether we should be sad, because while you guys are delivering to the best, but our goals are not getting accomplished. You think you are delivering the best, but we have a huge delta in order to cater to the market, to the field. So then what is it? So there's a bit, we discovered blind spots. We discovered there's a blind spot which needs to be dealt with, catered with, as everybody look perfect, but there has to be some gap. Now that was the point where we got a player agile coach from London, and we invited him to come to India, do a study with all these people. Our first two projects were of around 50 people working on those two projects. So we invited him for 2 weeks over here, and we asked him to do this entire surgery of the processes and see where are we going wrong. So he came in. We had trainings, we had discussions, we had processes dissections, we had the cultural dissections, we did dissection in many other areas. And that the first thing which came out was, you know what, your team is going through intellectual arrogance. They think that they are the best. They are not. They think they hold some brand names. They think they hold the best domain knowledge, and they are not so keen on learning anything new, learning any new framework, learning any best practices. They don't have any idea what is happening outside these premises. So a lot of things got discovered during this phase, and then we discussed and we adopted Agile. We said let's do a pilot, and we started building internal Agile capability and capacity to bring the team effectiveness. Now, when I say capacity, we all know that Agile teams are very small in size, 10, 7 to 9 people, 10 people max creates one Agile team. So we followed Agile to the core, to the book. We defined the role of Scrum Masters. We defined Scrum teams. We also introduced training Agile coaches, because you can't get a seasoned player coach from London or from other places. You have to develop your own coaches. So we introduced training Agile coaches. We established the events, governance meetings, Scrum meetings, Scrum stand-ups, planning event, review event, executive action team meetings, retrospectives. So we followed Agile to the core. Still, for the first 4 months, we were not successful. We were struggling. Why is it that we are not being successful after following Agile to the core? So, few things we realized that our housekeeping, the way we are doing our housekeeping, like we had Jira licenses. We used to work on Jira to create transparency of work, do things in a very structured manner, facilitate continuous improvement. We had a tool called Confluence to create knowledge management, structuring knowledge, all the knowledge content, knowledge artifacts. And we had Miro for retrospectives, online collaboration. So we did everything. So why it was not working out? And then we realized, and which I'm going to tell you guys is, whoever is going to adopt Agile is, there is a payback period. You have to be little patient till the time you achieve the payback period, that point. So this valley of disappointment will happen to you. All you need to do is you need to be calm, patient, and you need to be part of this journey. You need to enjoy this journey. Don't expect any result during first 3 months, 4 months, or 5 months of the journey. Normally, one mistake which we did is from month one, when we brought in Agile, we started focusing too much on the metrics, the success criteria, and let's measure it. Are we successful? Because we all know in corporate world, in business, whenever there's a new investment or whenever there's a new engagement, investment, when I say, it can be investment of time, it can be investment of money, but whenever there's investment, people tend to incline towards return on investment faster, right? So you need to be a little patient here. You should not worry about the return on investment so fast. Reach the payback period. Look for early wins, some signals of early wins. That will be enough to keep you motivated, and when the time reaches, you'll start getting the results. So this was one of the learning which we had. And then you can see you have quoted some of the factors which really helped us, and some of the lessons we learned. What helped us was we had a very fantastic leadership commitment from India, from US, from various countries. We have a very good leadership commitment. I was talking to the country heads and I was talking to our regional heads, and they were very much aligned with this philosophy, and they wanted us to move from this waterfall model to a framework where we can bring where we can involve customers, we can collaborate with them, we can bring the design thinking concept. So everybody was quite committed. We had culture. Now this is one of the very important factors which I'm going to tell you. Before going for any framework training, you should go for cultural orientation sessions first. You need to understand the culture. You need to understand what people are thinking. You have to move people. You have to move the mindset of people from point A to point B. So that is very, very important. So that's cultural orientation sessions, and then trainings on Agile to develop the mindset in team members. That's very, very important. In fact, one of the book which is Mindset, I request people to go and read this book, Mindset. It's really nice book. There are two books which we normally recommend people to read. One is Mindset, and the second book is Lead with Respect. So these are two books. Then we have the team individual appetite for change. So once you have these cultural sessions, we saw the appetite for change. The population we are dealing with in India, we have millennials and we have Gen Z generation. Now these populations, so basically when I say millennials and Gen Z, these are the people or the associates who have born after 1980, which are they are millennials, and those who have born after 1994, they are generation Z. So for these population, they they are damn sharp. They are very intelligent. All you need to do is you need to develop that appetite for change in them. But this really helped. We had a very, very good structured strategy for them. We segmented our populations who are going to work on Agile, adopt Agile, questioning our processes. We always said that we are not going for complex processes. Those are overheads. Let's move towards individuals, interactions, and make the process as light as possible. Rather move from processes mindset to a work instructions mindset. That's we question our processes. We consistently challenge our metrics. Do we have the right metrics? And when I say right metrics, you need to have a blend of lead and lag indicator. And that too, you don't need to do at the very first. You have to wait for some time and then you define it. You do a proper workshop. Normally, what happens in industry, people straight away come with those metrics and they're reading those metrics. That's absolutely wrong. A must not do. Invest time in defining the right lead and lag metrics. And finally, translating our learnings into actions rapidly. It's all about speed. It's all about speed. Now, a few of the lessons learned, which I already talked about, that there will be a payback period, and hence you need to be patient. Now, Scrum Master role on top of the individual was a little hectic. Now, normally what happens is when you adopt Agile, you ask somebody to play the role of Scrum Masters. Now, that one person is already playing one another role, and he's going to play the role of Scrum Master. It doesn't work. It becomes very, very hectic. So you need to ensure that if you do not have Scrum Masters in your organization, get some people from outside. You can connect Agile India Network. You can connect many other organizations. There are very people in industry who are seasoned Scrum Masters. Get them on board till the time you are developing your own capabilities. Get them, seek their help, and don't have a shared responsibility, because the role of Scrum Master is very, very important. It's not a postmaster's job. It is a job which bridges between the product owner and the developers, the strategist and the executioners. And this person, this role, it bridges the gap. It protects the executioners. It also understands the strategists. So it's very, very important role. Now, discipline on running the Scrum Up Scrum meetings. So normally when you start this, you for the first two weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, you feel very excited about the Scrum meetings, Scrum Up Scrum meetings. After that, the first symptom you will see is people coming late to these meetings, people excusing themselves from these meetings. Senior leaders, they are excusing themselves from these meetings. Okay, somebody will handle it. Don't do that. If you do that, you are defeating the culture again. It's all about culture. So it is our responsibility to be consistent and maintain the culture of Scrum framework. Now, when I say Scrum framework, it includes about backlog refinement, sprint planning, right? What to do, how to do. That's Scrum meetings. Then comes your retrospectives. So all these things, there's a reason which all these elements have been brought into Scrum framework. Now, second learning which we had was delay in closing actions. Now, when you go to Jira, normally we see organizations, they get very limited access to licenses because it's a huge cost. Now, sometimes you have limited licenses, and what you do is you nominate somebody for Jira. You nominate somebody for the backlog. Now that one person is getting 500 backlog items, and then that person is allocating to other people in the team. That is absolutely no. If you do that, that one person becomes the bottleneck. That one person will become the constraint, and things will keep slowing down. So you have to practice the theory of constraints here to beat these constraints or to beat these bottlenecks. Try to ensure that you have equal allocation of tickets, backlog tickets, to all the team members, so there's no single person that becomes a backlog or a bottleneck. So these are a few lessons learned. And finally, we devised a playbook. Now we said that, good, now we are 1 year, 2 year, 3 year in this journey, and now practicing agile with 25 plus complex projects. Now we really need something which can give us a sense that are we improving not only on those deliverables, but are we improving in this journey? Are we improving in the effectiveness of agile deployment? So we devised a playbook. The role of this playbook was to gauge and tell us that the current ways of working in agile is efficient and effective. So that's why we identified teams to conduct an agile maturity assessment. Now, people who conduct agile maturity assessment for us, they are industry experts. We invite people from industry who are seasoned into agile. They come, they do the assessment for us, and then they tell us that whether we are doing the right thing or not. So that's something we really embraced upon. We are working in this direction. Backlog of activities which helps in establishing this agile maturity assessment is the story, acceptance criteria, decompose tasks, agile fitnesses. These are 4 broad components which constitute the agile maturity assessment. Of course, you can go and you can also find out a lot of materials available. This is very, very important step which gives you a reflection of your journey. And finally, from my learning in this journey, I was first introduced to Agile in 2012 when I was in Malaysia. I was part of IT development. Imagine from IT to telecom to operations to enterprise business operations. Now in pharmaceutical world, I have seen agile adoption in last 10 years, last decade. So for people who think that agile is only for software development, no. Of course, it started from IT. The pain for IT projects was the failure rate was very high. The success rate was only 14% in waterfall model. Now, when we adopted agile first in IT, the success rate of projects improved from 14% to 42%, 300% times. But then we slowly, gradually, other industries, they have started adopting agile. So no more, agile is no more only part of development. It is also getting into operations. And that's where we are bringing various frameworks under agile. So you have Scrum framework, we are bringing Kanban, you have Scrum Ban. So various frameworks are bringing in, and people are adopting at various stages. And no matter, in a couple of years, you'll see agile getting everywhere, every industry. So what I learned professionally while adopting agile at a scale, at a mass scale level, is that it brings speed. Of course, we all talk about quality. It's a very common term which has been there for decades. But what agile brought to me was speed and transparency in our delivery. At every step, my colleagues, our customers, they have transparency of our kitchen, what is coming to them as a minimum viable product. So it is an ability to adapt and respond to change. Now, the important thing is not to stop questioning and what could be better. Always remember, we have to beat the law of entropy. For those who are on the call who are science students, law of entropy says that there is a disorderness. Every object in this universe tends to move towards disorderness. And mind it, so does your processes. Never be so confident about your processes. Otherwise, you will develop blind spots. Every object in this universe will move towards disorderness. Hence, it is very, very important to consistently question your processes, your work instructions, your platforms, your frameworks, and what could be better. So this was my learning. And with this, I'll close this and I'll get back to Srijit. If there are any question and answer here, I can take.
Thanks, Kumar. This was a very interesting learning for us. So we'll take the questions now. The first question is, what do you do to see the agile coaches get motivated to keep looking for continuous improvement of team beyond our standard metrics and KPIs? So sometimes we will be happy, okay, we have good velocity is increasing, but still there will be an opportunity for improvement. Do you have something more to suggest to us?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a very good question. And let me tell you something. When you are early in the journey, no matter how effective your metrics are, no matter how beautifully they are defined, it will take time to measure it. You can't measure it at one spot. But you need to understand one thing. The team members, they'll not wait for 3 months or 4 months to get something good to keep themselves motivated. So as a leader, as an agile practitioner, it is very, very important to look for some early wins. Now, what I did was I knew that I had a very complex project. My customers were very tough to handle, and the requirements were very, very, very vast, very changing requirements. So what we did is we looked at, I discussed with my peer coach, and we looked at what can be the early wins or even symptoms if something is improving, right? So you need to be in consistent watch of those early wins and then communicate. Please understand, this is one thing where I have seen majority of people, they fail. They wait till the milestone is achieved and then they communicate the results. I would take a different approach over here. I would say that whenever you have some early symptoms, keep communicating. Even if you have some progresses, keep communicating. Communicate, communicate, and communicate. Don't wait for the milestone to reach. If you communicate more frequently, you are changing the perception. You are changing the mindset of the people who are sitting on the other side of the table that, wow, something is happening, something is changing. So first of all, positioning plays a very, very important role even before you achieve the results. So if you're able to position yourself that something is changing and something is changing for the good, half of your job is done. And you'll see there's a very highly motivated team over it on both sides of the table. And then when your result come after 3 months, 4 months in tangible metrics, nobody cares. I mean, of course they will look at the numbers, but by the time you have won the battle. So positioning is very, very important.
Thanks for that. So keeping the team as well as leadership curious about the change and what is happening is important, right? Okay, so we have another question from Mr. Goyal. Goal questions metrics tool helps identify desired metrics through questioning the doers what they would like to see to know if the purpose is achieved. Any thoughts on this goal question metrics framework and tool?
Sorry, I didn't get the question. Come again, please.
So the goal question metrics is a tool that helps identify the desired metrics through questioning the actual doers. Mainly what the doers would like to see. How do we brainstorm what they would like to see? Have you come across this tool and any of this practice in your?
Yeah. No, I got a question. So we have not used this tool, but let me tell you what we have done. The intent is right. Of course, tools can be different, solutions can be different, but the question is very, very right. If I understood this question well, that what was the methods or ways chosen to involve the doers and question them, and let them decide for them what they're doing is right or wrong, whatever it is. This is what I have understood. So let me tell you, the doers, who are the developers or who are the associates who are working there. Now, there's a phase called sprint planning or backlog refinement. Now, sometimes there are two ways. One is traditional way, one is non-conventional way. In traditional ways, product owners, they say that what they want, and agile Scrum Master, they bring it and it is given to the team, and the team start working. And there are certain sprints which are designed. That's a very traditional way. But in non-conventional way, and when we say that you need to consistently challenge, right, the processes. In the non-conventional way, we ask these doers to come forward. And if they think that there are ways which can improve, there are ways which can improve the speed, the quality, the effectiveness, bring them at the front. They are the ones who knows the job. So of course we don't have a tool right now, but of course we brought them to the front, and we asked them to take the lead of what they think is right and voice it. That's where we keep talking about courage. Bring that courage, be curious, be open, and put your points. So, but yes, we have not used any tool for this. We normally do it in our sprint planning exercise.
Thanks. Next question is from Raghupati. We have heard about Agile implementation IT. How do you implement pharmaceutical domain? Have you implemented in pharma factory setup? So could you give some insights on that aspects?
Yeah, so you need to understand pharma domain a little bit more when you talk about agile. So of course, agile in IT everybody knows, right? But in pharma, when you come to pharma sector, it's huge. Now, if you look at pharma, from the time a molecule is discovered to the time a drug is launched in the market, it's 12 to 14 years of journey. Now, there are various stages into it. You have drug development, you have packaging, manufacturing, packaging, and supply chain management. Then come your commercial side, where you have sales, marketing, and finally the launch. Now, if you look at these activities, if you break down these activities with each of these, I would say, pillars, be it GDT, be it the manufacturing plant, where we have packaging, supply chain management, be it the marketing, be it the sales, launches, right? If you get into details, you will find multiple avenues where you can brought in agile. So for example, I'll give you a quick example. In drug design, in drug development, we follow some design principles. Now, those design principles are in sync with our environmental sustainability clauses. Right. So every drug which you are producing, it has to follow some design principles so that it is compliant to our environmental sustainability commitments. Now, with these principles in mind, when you have to go towards the development, right, those processes can be dissected into small agile teams. Each principle can be developed into an agile team, right? So I have seen that happening here. I'll give another example in the manufacturing plant, because your question was around manufacturing plants. So in manufacturing plants, it is the manufacturing plus packaging, right? You have primary packaging, you have secondary packaging, and then you also have we have brought in some sort of predictive analytics to reduce the carbon emissions in the manufacturing plant. Now, in each of these stages, when it comes to primary packaging and secondary packaging, and when it comes to integrate analytics to predict which machine is going to be a higher carbon emission in next 2, 3 days, 4 days, where we are integrating with Internet of Technologies, with machine learning, and then we are predicting that. In each of these stages, we have productized it. And when you productize your work, your activities, again, you can go agile over it. So hence I'm saying agile is a big philosophy. Under agile, you have various options. You can go for Scrum, you can go for Kanban, you can go for Scrum Ban. Think what suits the best for that area and then adopt any of the framework.
Thanks, Kumar, on that one. So mainly how quickly and we can bring the feedback, bring the learning back to the process. And it is interesting to know each of the principle in the pharmaceutical industry can be done in a micro level as agile. So glad to know that.
Absolutely, yes. And trust me, I would say agile is industry agnostic. It's no more IT. Now we have examples when concepts like just in time, Kaizen, it came from Japan, it came from manufacturing, it came from automobile and many other manufacturing plants. And today, the entire IT industry and many other industries has adopted those concepts, right? Six Sigma, it came from manufacturing. Lean Six Sigma came from manufacturing. Just in time came from manufacturing. TRIZ, theory of constraint, everything has been given by manufacturing industry. And today the entire world is using it. Now, this is a time when IT has created something, and again, you devise something and the entire world uses it.
Yeah, good to know that one. Another question is from Rekupati itself. The management mind is business centric. How agile fits to their mindset?
Yes, no, it's a very good question. Very good question. And this is what I have mentioned in the learning that it's sometimes, and you're very right, Raghupati. I really like this question. So management mind is business centric. I agree that, but management is intelligent. They understand the changes. They understand the waves of changes which are happening. They understand the next generation platforms. So when you bring this agile, they know what is required. It's just that somebody has to be courageous enough to tell your management that don't go for agile if you have this mindset. If you are going for agile, you have to change this mindset. Somebody has to take that courage. You can seek help from some industry experts. You can seek help from your agile coaches, but it's very important to outline at the beginning of the journey that if you are looking for return on investment immediately, agile is not the tool to go for. Of course, it will take some time and returns will be there. You will see 2x, 3x returns, but don't expect it immediately. And don't do it for the heck of doing it. If you are business centric, there are other areas. If you are more towards profitability, go for business excellence models. You have various business excellence models which give you profitability and other things. Right? In India, you all know what we do for cost cutting. It's Indians are popular across the globe. They're the same, that in India, if you have to do some innovation, what they do layoff, cut off the cost. That is spoiling the image of the young generation of India. People across the globe is thinking that we are very good with layoffs and cost cutting. No, it's not that point. The point is that it's high time for all the management leaders to understand the waves of changes. And my appeal to all these leaders across India, please understand where to start, where to review, and where to further improve. There is a journey for everything. So you need to understand the value of disappointment, and then comes your success. Even a bamboo plant, when you let me take extra 30 seconds over here. When you sow a bamboo tree, a bamboo small plant, for years you not see any development, and suddenly in 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks, the bamboo tree becomes 90 feet tall, right? So you need to understand this, how it happens and what is going under the carpet, under the ground. So this is my I've been talking to various management leaders across industries, and I keep telling them that you need to change. And that's where I recommend you this book, Lead with Respect. Sometimes it is very important for us to take that courage and tell our managers, our bosses, boss, you are the bottleneck. So you read this book, Lead with Respect. You'll love this.
Thanks. And you said one more book, the one more
Mindset.
book you mentioned, right? Mindset, right? Okay, right. Okay, there is one more question coming from Suresh. You spent a long time in Agile domain, Agile area in multiple domains. Can you give a couple of tough situations, challenges you faced, and how did you overcome?
Yeah, one of the tough situations is managed services. So I'll give you an example. I was in Malaysia then, and it was telecom industry then, and we were working to launch 4G technology in 2011, I could remember, and it was a very huge investment by the Malaysian stalwarts. The king of Malaysia was also involved in that, and investments were huge. And first time we were going for the 4G technologies, we had 17 vendors for network elements, vendors for billing, vendors for invoicing, vendors for revenue management. So we had 17 vendors who were sitting in the Malaysia offices, the premises, and I was deputed there as the engagement head to manage everything. Now these vendors were from Samsung, Seragon, various other. So we had Korean companies, we had Chinese companies, we had Indian companies, various companies were there. Now, a couple of challenges. First, language. Few vendors they used to have, even their emails were in regional languages. You can't understand anything. So you have to speak to one of their representative only. So only one representative of a Korean team will talk to you. Otherwise, the entire team members will not talk to you. So you will never get to know what is happening. Right. So language is a constraint. Culture is a constraint. The second is you have to work in tandem with all these people together. So it's a matrix structure. So wherever you have language constraints, wherever you have matrix structure, wherever you have a global project where various people are working from various countries and various time zones, right? Now, the agile philosophy says that it has to be at the same location. People who are getting into agile, they should sit together, they should work in same location. Now, how will you do this, especially in this pandemic when happened, COVID, where everything went remote, right? So we challenge ourselves against few of these philosophies, few of the principles, that how to bring people together in remote management, right? And it happened in 2011. Then it was not COVID, but still we were people in various countries sitting and working various time zones. So it was very difficult to adopt agile. We also looked at, can we adopt some other frameworks, like we can go for, we'll keep uh, a big part in the waterfall model and maybe few part of agile, or maybe we will not go for agile, we'll go for lean six sigma, or we'll go for kaizen. So we were very confused. We were not so confident what will work, what will not work. So what I did is we kept a segment of work on waterfall, we kept a segment of work on agile, especially the invoicing was kept on billing and invoicing system, software systems were kept on agile, and the rest other systems I kept on lean six sigma. Now trust me, the waterfall model, wherever we implement the change management and all the release management which we are implementing in waterfall model, it has the same failure rates which we anticipated. Wherever we had implemented lean six sigma, we didn't see the results because you need time to see the results. But when we implement agile on the billing and invoicing systems, it worked perfectly fine. You had the sample invoicing, you had the minimum viable product in your hand, and you can see, you can sense that this is a blunder which we are going to do. We can stop this blunder. One small plan change, it's a telecom industry. One small plan change, one small change in the release, it can matter millions of dollars for you. And once you see that invoice, once you see those things in your hand before it gets, and that's where agile helped us. So then we realize the power of agile and the power of predictions. Nowadays, people are bringing data sciences, machine learning for predictive analytics, but believe me, trust me, predictable deliveries are one of the most important characteristics of agile, which I discovered in 2012. You might have heard about machine learning and data sciences, artificial intelligence nowadays, where people are going for predictive analytics. But predictable deliveries I devised and I discovered first in 2012 through Agile. That's the power of Agile.
thanks. I think it is quite a lot of reassuring for the agile practitioners to go for prototyping, proof of concept, early learning, fast fail, etc. Thanks for that one. We have one more question from Jacob. The scale agile means safe framework. It is tough to accept that. What are your thoughts? What is scaling agile means to you?
So see, I understand about safe, and I'll tell you something. I'll tell you what I have done, and I may not be the right, but it gave me results. So whenever you come with any framework never forces you. Framework never puts you under a litmus test that you have to do this. Framework gives you a structure, and frameworks ask you that, okay, see what is the fitment to your adaptability. That's how I understand, how I read frameworks. So when I go for these things, I first of all I look at my current environment, my own culture, and I customize it a bit, which can work for my culture, which can work for my people, which can work for my environment, my ecosystem. So sometimes you need to understand that it's not a black and white, that you have taken a framework and then you have to go for the code. You have all the rights to customize it, and there is no harm in doing that, because as long as you're matching with your culture, your own ecosystem, because you will understand your ecosystem better than anyone who have ever written any framework outside this world, right? So adopt. That's why we always use the word adoption. Whenever use the word that, okay, we are compliant with these frameworks, we are not compliant. It's not ISO 9001 that you have to be compliant to it. Right? It's not an audit. Please understand, we are not going for a compliant framework and we will be audited. It's not like that. It's an adoption of a framework which you believe in. You bring it, you customize it the way you want, believe in it, and trust me, it will give you results, because you have factored everything into it. You have factored your culture, you have factored your ecosystem, you have factored everything, and you have customized it as per your needs. So it is bound to give you results. Right? And that's why this word adoption, whenever you go for agile, always use this word. I normally use this word adoption. I don't know whether that answers your question, but I tried my best.
Predominantly look for how you adopt the framework for the organization. Each organization is different, so need to look at what
exactly.
Principles and practices will be useful and adapt accordingly.
Yeah, it's very, very important to see things, think through, and discuss when to adopt, when not to adopt, when to disrupt, when not to disrupt. So whenever you are changing a framework, when you are adopting something new, you are disrupting a whole ecosystem, right? So it is purely your decision around when to disrupt, when not to disrupt, when to adopt any framework, when not to adopt. So it's purely your decision. Have a very systematic approach of laying out the plan and aligning with your management. That's very, very important.
Okay, great. And this is just last one, Kumar. If you could let us know the authors of the two books you mentioned in the chat, it will be useful for each and everyone.
Yeah, I will. I don't remember. One is Carol. So you can go to Google and you can just type the names. You will get the name of the authors.
Okay,
What is
okay.
Carol?
We will put it.
Yeah,
Get in.
just remember the names of mindset. Just type on Google. So these are very renowned books, and you will get the name of the author.
Yeah. We will support each one to get that one.
Or I will share across the chat.
Yeah. Either of us can get that and put in the chat as the chat continues through the next sessions. Okay,
I think if you're done with all questions, one small sentence which I would like to tell to other people.
Please.
Believe in what you want to do. Always remember, you are the leader. Just believe in what you are doing and be receptive for the changes. Prepare yourself for the change. Prepare yourself for the reception, because you are about to achieve a lot of good results. So you also have to prepare yourself so that you can absorb those good results for yourself. So believe and prepare yourself for changes and for accepting the results. It's very, very important.
Thank you very much, Vishal. It was very fulfilling session for each one. Good learning and quite confidence building for each and every Agile practitioner to believe in yourself and get going to get the best for each organization. Thank you very much.